When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. Suddenly, I was hit on the forehead. After that, I remember being a bit dazed. If I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed. When I came to, Mr. Buller was lying there, dead.
I see. Suddenly hit on the forehead, huh? I believe the detective from yesterday provided similar testimony. He said that Mask DeMasque struck him on the head from behind.
Of course, since Amy turned out to be the culprit himself, that was all a lie.
Ha!
No one's gonna believe a pathetic lie like that. What are you saying? I really was attacked.
We'll find out if what you say is true or not during the cross-examination.
Got that, Mr. Trite? Don't go easy just because he's your client. If I see any sign that you are, I'll treat you to another cup of my special blend. You don't need to worry about that, Mr. Godot. I have faith in Ron. I know he didn't do it. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. Who was this suspicious shadow? If there were 1,000 of me, and even if there were 1,000 of me, and even if there were 1,000 of me, and if even one knew, I'd tell you. Trust me. He's dodging all of our questions, not helping us with this case. Okay, well then, how was the victim, Mr. Bullard, at the time? What do you mean by how was he? Was he already dead? Was he still alive? Maybe he was the one who hit you in the first place. That's a good question. What do you think, Mr. Wright? Forget it. Useless. Suddenly, I was hit on the forehead. After that, I remember being a bit dazed. Your forehead? Yes, I was hit on the forehead as soon as I entered the room. It was an amazingly fast and powerful attack. Do you remember anything about who hit you? Well, like I said, it was a fast and powerful hit. So I think I was a little dazed for a while. I don't think Mr. Delight even grasped what you were asking. Yeah, I'd like to show him a fast and powerful attack myself. Maybe that would knock some sense back into him. If I had been wearing that, I would have been killed. Wait, wearing what? That? Could you please clarify what you're referring to? Why, my Mask DeMasque costume, of course.
Wait just a moment. Mask DeMasque?
Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? Just to be on the safe side, I dressed as Mask DeMasque. And then I descended upon the office of CEO of Security. CEO of KB Security.
What?
Nick, did you know about this? You never told me this. I don't recall him ever mentioning it to me either.
Even I didn't know that. It seems our little friend really loves to keep secrets.
I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. Wait, that's not right. You know how sometimes things just slip out of your mind?
Ha! My 6th cup of coffee is staring up at me coldly. At any rate, we can't ignore this new piece of information. Witness, please correct your testimony.
I'd have been killed if I hadn't been wearing my Mask DeMasque costume.
Why were you dressed up as Mask DeMasque?
Why, because I'm Mask DeMasque, of course.
What are you talking about? Mask DeMasque's trial is being held next door.
Yes, I guess so. Anyway, at that time, I thought I was being blackmailed over the Mask DeMasque issue. So I thought I should go as him, just to be safe. Oh boy. Let me tell you, it's a real pain to move around with that cape. That's why it took a lot longer than I expected.
Took a lot longer? What is he talking about?
What do you mean by took a lot longer? Oh, opening the safe, of course. My cape got caught in the safe door, you see. This all happened when I was hiding Mr. Bullet's body.
What was that? Back up a second.
Yes?
You were the one that hid the body in the safe?
Well, yeah.
Inconceivable! Why? Just why? What reason could you have? What were you thinking?
Question,
When does someone toss their dirty shorts in the washing machine? What? The answer is simple. When they take them off. As usual, I have no idea what you're saying.
Do you mean that Mr. Delight hit the body because he's the murderer?
Ha! So you're not as stupid as you look.
His metaphor this time was really obscure.
Mr. Wright, you don't mean that you knew about this whole safe business, do you?
Well, yes.
Why am I the only one not in the loop here? Witness, make sure you add this to the testimony.
Yes, sir. Uh-oh, looks like the storm front is moving over the fair weather judge. I panicked and hit the body in the safe. It took about 10 minutes. Why did you hide the body in the safe anyway? Well, because it wouldn't fit in the drawer. That's not exactly what I meant. When I saw that corpse, I kinda lost it. I thought, if they find his corpse, they'll think I did it.
Ha! I think you had a simple reason than that. It's because you killed him. That's why you spent 10 minutes hiding the body. That certainly makes more sense.
Ugh.
Hold on. 10 minutes?
What is it, Nick? I just had a thought. Under those circumstances, would you normally try to hide the body? And spend 10 whole minutes to do it? Under those circumstances? What circumstances? Oh! Hey, Nick, if you think his behavior was so strange, why don't you present some evidence that would show just what those circumstances were? That's it. I'll take a look at the court record and present some evidence. We heard this from Mr. Light yesterday, didn't we? There's not much in this testimony either. I bet you he's still hiding something. I wouldn't be surprised. We'll just have to draw it out of him. I just hope he doesn't make things any more complicated. Didn't he press the buzzer? No fingerprints, but it did go off. Huh. Alright. There you go. Your Honor, could you please take a look at this record?
And what might that be?
The record for the emergency buzzer that connects the CEO's office to security. If the button in the office is pressed, the security team is supposed to come running. And according to this record, the buzzer was pushed once at 1:02 a.m.
What?
If Mr. Rondelite truly was the murderer, he would have ran off as soon as that buzzer sounded. After all, a security guard would have been heading his way.
Ha! Let's remember who we're dealing with here. He probably had no idea there were security personnel in the building.
What? Come on. You just said that up until 1 year ago, my client was working as the chief of security. There's no way he wouldn't have known about them.
But as it turns out, the guard never came.
That was nothing more than a coincidence. The fact that the guard was a pathetic loser who had just gotten punched in the face by his ex's new boyfriend and wasn't anywhere in the vicinity was not something Mr. Light could have known.
Ha! Again, remember who we're dealing with here. It's a sure bet that Mr. Light didn't even notice the buzzer going off.
Come on. This buzzer is extremely loud. There's no way you could have ignored something like that. If he had been conscious, that is.
Conscious? What do you mean by that? Fine, let's hear your theory.
Recall the defendant's testimony? The moment he entered the victim's office, someone attacked him. Mr. Delight said he felt dazed. I'm willing to wager that he was knocked unconscious for at least a few minutes.
Unconscious? So he fainted?
That's why Mr. Delight didn't know that the buzzer had sounded. And that's why he thought he had time to hide the body.
So what are you trying to say?
Mr. Delight was knocked out, and the buzzer went off soon afterwards. Now, unless my client was able to hit the buzzer while he was unconscious, it can only mean that there was another person in the room. That's right, whoever it was, they knocked out on the line and pressed the buzzer.
Order in the court, Mr. Wright. This is... This is preposterous. It was this kid. Ron Delight is the one who killed Kane Bullard.
Then who pressed the buzzer?
It was the victim, of course.
He pressed the buzzer when the defendant was attacking him. He didn't die right away. He must have held out long enough to push that button. Ah!
So King Blood sounded the buzzer himself. What is your opinion on this, Mr. Wright?
I need to prove that the real criminal was there at the scene, but how? Can I prove that it wasn't Cam Bullard who sounded the buzzer? Of course I can. Easy. The defense's opinion is this, Your Honor. This piece of evidence proved that it wasn't the victim who sounded the buzzer. Clear as day. He wasn't wearing gloves. He didn't press the buzzer. I believe this is the piece of incontrovertible evidence you were looking for.
The emergency buzzer? Is there some kind of clue on it?
Absolutely not.
Hey, come on now. At least give some thought to what you say before opening your mouth.
The fact that there are absolutely no clues is itself a clue.
Now I'm the one who's clueless.
This button has no fingerprints on it. If Mr. Bullet had really pressed it himself, naturally he would have left his fingerprints behind.
Objection! Ron Delight obviously wiped them off.
Why would he? A guard could have come at any moment.
He touched that button. I know he did.
The defendant, Mr. Delight, was dressed as Mask DeMasque. And Mask DeMasque always wears gloves. What reason could he possibly have to wipe the button free of fingerprints? Yeah, take that.
Order! Ha! It would seem I've been forced to eat crow.
I wonder what blood number crow-flavored coffee is.
However, if the real killer was there at the scene, why would that person press the emergency buzzer?
But
shouldn't they have run away without putting themselves in extra danger? What's with this awkward silence all of a sudden?
Ha! Looks like you're fresh out of parlor tricks. They're on to you, Nick. Just give me a minute to collect my thoughts. The real culprit killed Mr. Bullard around 1 a.m. And Mr. Delight just happened to waltz in when the murder was taking place, right? The killer clobbered Mr. Delight and then sounded the buzzer. Even though security was supposed to respond right away if the buzzer was pressed. Security was supposed to respond? There you go.
Time's up, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you have to say.
Very well then.
Oh, you've got some guts. I like that in an opponent. Why did the real killer sound the emergency buzzer?
I can't. In all probability, the killer didn't know what the button was for.
What do you mean?
The killer probably thought, I wonder what this does, and pressed it to find out. Oh, that's exactly how I make a lot of my mistakes too.
Objection!
Ha! Is there a functioning brain underneath all that ridiculous hair, Mr. Trite? Huh? The panel around the button is labeled quite clearly. It says emergency buzzer. No! Let me guess. Maybe next you'll want to claim this mysterious killer was illiterate? One more time. I've got to calm down and think quick.
Why did the real killer sound the emergency buzzer?
The killer knew that if they pressed that button, a guard would come running. And that was exactly what they wanted.
Do you mean to say the killer called out the guard on purpose?
Yes. Although as it turned out, he never showed up. Because he was getting his clock cleaned at the time.
Oh. Ha! What a touching story. You're saying the killer had the change of heart and called the guard to turn himself in?
No, I'm not. When that buzzer sounded, there were 3 people in that office. The victim, Cain Bullard, who was already dead. The defendant, Ron Delight, who was out cold. And the 3rd person, the real killer.
Hypothetically, yes.
Now then, in this situation, if the real killer made an escape, what would happen? The only ones left in the room would be the victim and Ron Delight. And if any security guards came in running at the time, they would think I was the murderer. Yes, that was precisely the real killer's objective. To frame Ron Delight for the murder.
Order! Ha! It would seem I've been made to eat my words once again.
Actually, you've been made to do a spit take with a cup of coffee. Mr. White, who was it? Who was it that tried to frame me? Wait a second. I'm the one and only Mask DeMasque, so...
Nick, you mean the real killer is... We're gonna drag that person in here right now.
But, who is it?
I don't have any solid proof yet, but think about it. The killer knew Mr. Delight's identity, and they also knew that he had been called to KB security that night. So, the killer used him to execute a well-crafted plan to murder Kane Bullard. Now then, let's hear your accusation, Mr. Wright. Who was it that framed Mr. Rondelight for the murder of Kane Bullard? Therefore, the real murderer.
Detective Luke at me. He's the only one who could have done it.
Ace Detective.
Luke at me?
You mean Mask DeMasque did it?
Your Honor, the person being tried in the court next to us is not Mask DeMasque at all. He is, in actuality, the true murderer of Kane Bullard.
Order, Mr. Wright, explain yourself.
Theft and murder? Which is the more serious crime?
They're not even close. Murder is the more serious crime, of course. It's a capital crime subject to a capital punishment.
Please remember the trial from yesterday, if you would. Well, look at me confess there was a huge commotion in the courtroom. Of course, a famous detective was unmasked as Mask DeMasque. Instead of being convicted of murder, he was found guilty of grand larceny. That was his true objective all along.
To be found guilty?
Mask DeMasque had the perfect alibi for when the murder took place. He was stealing the urn at Lori Taylor. In other words, being found guilty as Mask DeMasque was Luke Adme's airtight, watertight, unassailable alibi.
A guilty verdict? As an alibi?
You know, it's almost time.
For what?
For Luke Adme's verdict. It was a pretty simple trial, after all. If we're gonna stop this trial and stall that one, we need to do it now. Of course. That's assuming you have proof that the detective was the one who committed the murder.
Mr. Luke Adme's trial has indeed attracted the attention of the entire country. If we were to intrude and fail to provide adequate proof of his true crime, Mr. Delight would be left with no grounds for appeal.
Am I really sure about this? Ha! I bet's only good when your life is the ante. Mr. White, I believe in you. Mr. Delight? So, please, I'm begging you! Thanks, but my decision will determine the rest of your life. Can I really risk your life like this?
Phoenix!
What was that? Don't stray, Phoenix. For your client, take the path of trust. That voice, it sounds like... Mia! Your Honor, the defense requested immediate recess. Huh. So that's your answer, huh?
Very well, I've decided as well. This court will now take a 20-minute recess. Mr. Wright, when we return, please summon Mr. Luke Adme to the stand.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, Sir Detective Adme.
Ha! I have to say, Mr. Payne, you performed splendidly.
Oh no, Sir Detective Adme. You were the one who...
That's enough. This court sees no reason to further prolong this trial. This court finds the defendant Luke Adme. Hold it. Wait. Don't hand down your verdict yet, please. Well, Sir Lawyer. Welcome to my courtroom. Who's this hoosery? My name is Phoenix Wright, attorney at law. And I wish to file an accusation against this man, Luke Adme.
Accusation? You accuse Mask DeMasque?
That man is not Mask DeMasque. He's just a ruthless murderer. What? That's impossible, eh?
To be continued. Come back now, users. Hey.
My sis? I could have sworn I heard Mia's voice. So then, she's still alive. Inside your heart.
Nicky boy!
Oh, Mr. Light.
Is it true that Detective is the real killer?
To be honest, we don't have any definitive proof. But he's the only one who could have done it.
But wasn't he a Looney Taylor that night?
Not to mention, we don't exactly know his motive. I mean, why would Detective Amy want to kill Kane Bullard? Oops, it's almost time, better get back to the courtroom. I need to find some solid proof. It's gotta happen sooner rather than later. Alright.
Now then, this court is back in session. Mr. Look at me, please take the stand.
Well, how do you do, sir lawyer? I never would have thought to see you acting so recklessly. I couldn't let them hand down your verdict just yet. Not when it would have given you... Not when it would have given you your perfect alibi. An alibi by the name of Mask DeMasque. I'm sorry, I'm afraid even the great Look at Me has no idea what you mean. Of course, I have been in the next courtroom ever since 10 o'clock this morning. I'm afraid there's no way I could know what's been going on in here.
You've been in the defendant's seat all day long, correct? Being tried as Mask DeMasque.
Indeed, it's surely child's play to fool the ignorant masses. Not only did the poor fools ask me to protect their valuables, they even gave me a generous reward upon returning their own property to them. Take this red diamond ring that sparkles upon my divine finger, for example. So you continue to insist that you are, in fact, Mask DeMasque.
Of course. Very well then, look at me. Let's begin with this simple question. On October 12th at 1 a.m., Kane Bullard was murdered. Where were you at that time?
One without knowledge lacks even the knowledge that he should be ashamed of himself. But don't worry, I will not hold it against you, Sir Judge.
Thanks.
Alright, Mr. Atme, the night of the murder. Speak. We're all ears. As you wish, Sir Prosecutor. I was stealing the urn as Mask DeMasque, just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. A photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. The time at which the camera captured Mask DeMasque was the same time as the murder. What? No, that's wrong.
It seems the main point of discussion will be the photo of the crime scene.
Everything else up until now is part of his plan. There has to be a secret to this picture as well. Even the great Mask DeMasque cannot be in two places at once. Now then, if you'll excuse me, I have a verdict to receive. Unfortunately, Mr. Amy, we still have to do your cross-examination. A fool is still foolish to know that he is a fool. I think he's trying to say that you're full of it, Nick. The only thing that's full of it is his alibi. Yeah, full of shit. Doo-doo. You know what I'm saying? I was stealing the urn just as... I was stealing the urn as Mask DeMasque, just as I announced I would. So this photograph is the proof, correct? Indeed it is! And the man in the photo is certainly wearing a mask. That is why I'm called Mask DeMasque. But conveniently, that also means that there's no way to tell who this really is.
What do you mean?
Ha! Are you saying that this is not, in fact, Look at Me? That it could be an accomplice dressed up as Mask DeMasque to create an alibi? Oh, what an interesting idea! Are you saying that I, Lone Wolf Luke, had an accomplice? No. Look at Me was KP security during the murder. Then the Mask DeMasque in this picture has to be a fake. And there really was an accomplice. But right now, I have no idea who it was. I don't have any idea right now either. Baseless objections are just what this guy wants. There's gotta be another way.
and I'm gonna find it. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job.
I believe Adrian Andrews hired you at one point.
That's right. That was over 20 days ago, if I'm not mistaken.
He sent the calling card to Lord Taylor 10 days before the heist. That would mean he sent out the card after you began his security watch, right?
Indeed. There was no reason why I couldn't do both jobs at once. It was a perfect opportunity to steal my latest target. I see. You truly are evil, aren't you? Yes, evil is what I am.
Hey, Nick, isn't there something odd about this? That Abby was always proud of his ace detective skills, right? But if the urn was stolen from Lord Taylor when he was the only one watching it, he had no way to maintain his perfect ace detective persona. You know, that's true. It is kind of odd.
A photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness.
So by photograph, you mean this piece of evidence here, is that correct?
Indeed it is. This is it. The very thing that proves I committed the crime.
The very thing that proves you committed the crime? When you think about it, it's really odd. You say that as almost as if you had this picture taken on purpose.
He was simply caught by the very camera that he had set up. We all have days like that. Indeed, it turned out that there was no such thing as the perfect crime after all. Life is truly an anarchic thing, a sad blue melody.
Looks like I better gather more information for now. If he's truly the killer, there's gotta be something phony in that photo.
A time at which the camera captured Mask DeMasque at the same time as the murder.
About that camera that took the photograph.
Oh, come now, it's all too clear what you're thinking.
Huh?
You think I altered the timestamp of the photograph, don't you?
I'm afraid that's impossible. The camera was set up by Lord Taylor. On top of that, it was Lord Taylor's staff that printed the picture's data. Unfortunately for the defense, there's no way that picture could have been altered.
I see.
Looks like I better find something else that could be suspicious. So, this alibi is false. It has to be, or he couldn't have killed Mr. Blood at SKB security. But I'm not really spotting anything unusual. There are two possibilities. Either the Mask DeMasque in the photo is a fake, or the photo itself is. Huh. So by a photograph, you mean this piece of evidence here, is that correct?
Indeed it is. That is it. The very thing that proves I committed the crime.
The very thing that proves you committed the crime. Surely even you understand by now.
Lord Taylor provided that camera. There's no way I could have tampered with it. That means I could not have killed Ken Bullard unless I had an accomplice.
Come on, think long and hard about that night. The basement warehouse. This picture that supposedly captures it. It's gotta be here. Isn't there something funny about this picture?
Sure. Are you implying that this picture is a fake?
You bet I am. There's definitely something strange about this picture. We took a look around the basement warehouse that night before the theft took place. There's something in this photo that doesn't match my memory of that night. Oh yeah.
Very well then, let's hear what you have to say. What about this photograph do you find funny?
Right here, right? All that paint. The funny part is right here.
Why, this is a blood stain. Ah, blood! Now this case is getting interesting.
Not exactly. This stain is actually pink paint.
Oh, just paint. And peach colored at that.
From blood to peaches, the judge sure loves going on his wild tangents. Fuck. The problem with this photograph is not the paint. The problem is when you consider the layout of the basement warehouse. It turns out that something that should be there is nowhere to be seen.
Well, Mr. Wright, what is supposed to be in this picture instead of the paint stains?
The supervisor of the treasure exhibit stated the following. Well, there's good reason for that. On the day of the crime, around noon, That golden statue is happened to arrive from the mountain training hall. I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering up the paint stains. That's why I put it where you first saw it. I myself was there the night the theft took place, and saw the statue in that spot. If this picture was truly taken on the night, then that statue should have been there. But when I went there the day after the theft, that statue of the old bag was sitting in the corner.
Perhaps it was somehow pushed there accidentally.
Your Honor, this statue is slightly larger than yourself, and quite heavy. It would take more than an accidental push to move it that distance.
Ha! In that case, can you prove it? Can you give us the rhyme and reason as to why that statue was moved that night?
Can he do it, Nick? Never mind who moved it. The real question is, why did they move it?
Well, Mr. Wright, I hope you are prepared with your answer. Now then, who was the one that moved the golden statue on the night of the crime?
It's gotta be Amy himself, right? The one who moved the statue is none other than... Look at me! Come now, Sir Lawyer. There you go again on one of your strange delusions.
Mr. Wright, what basis do you have for your strange delusions?
It's very simple. The witness was the only one in the basement warehouse that night. That is indeed very simple. However, why would I want to move a heavy golden statue? The reason for moving the golden statue. Here's where our battle really begins.
Well, Mr. Wright, what reason did the witness have to move that statue?
The reason can be found here in this photograph. Look at me, you pretended to be Mask DeMasque to create an alibi by showing you were at Lord Tail that night. But this photograph contains a single fatal flaw. If the statue had been there, your lie would be exposed like cheap film at a drugstore. That is why you had to move the statue.
A single fatal flaw? Interesting theory. Please enlighten us. Just where in this picture does this lie exist?
That time? There's something suspicious about the time. That's all I can say. Naturally, the lie in this photo is the timestamp.
What do you mean?
I don't know yet. I'll tell you exactly what I mean. On the night of the question, Luke Hamy went to KB security and murdered Kane Bullard. Therefore, it's obvious. It would have been possible for him to have been at Lawyer Taylor at this time. Okay.
What does that have to do with the statue being moved?
Remember, if you will, Your Honor, when was the statue placed beside the warehouse door?
Well,
the statue was taken down to the warehouse on the day of the crime, and it was placed there in order to cover up the paint. Exactly. Luke Hamy had already decided on the time. Luke Hamy had already decided on the time when he was going to kill the victim. Oh, and so, in order to create an alibi for that time, he took this picture days before the murder took place.
What the?
Of course, the statue hadn't yet brought down to the basement warehouse yet.
Ah!
So, on the day of the crime, Mr. Hamy must have been quite nervous. As nervous as a long-tailed cat in a rocking chair factory, so to speak. Why? Because something that wasn't supposed to be there had been brought down and placed where it wasn't supposed to be. And that is why Luke Hamy had to move the statue on the night of the murder. He did it to make the room match the way he did the He did it to make the room match with the way it had been in the photo.
Order! Mr. Hamy, is this true?
One moment, Your Honor. Have you forgotten this?
What's that?
The data for the basement warehouse computer. According to this, the camera did indeed go off on the night of the crime. It's true that the camera had been set up by Lord Taylor's staff. However, the program used to manage that data was yours. That alone would have allowed you to tamper with the data.
Order! Mr. Godot, what is the meaning of this? Godot, I warned you about making me wait. Now put that coffee down.
My 11th cup. I promise to drink no more than 17 during a trial. Which means I'm still good till the last drop.
However, the defense has a very good point.
A good point? So what? We are all but travelers on a road of infinite points. I think he's got his points mixed up with his other points.
So you say this photograph was taken ahead of time, and that the statue was moved in order to make him match. That's a very interesting idea. However, there's one point that can't be denied.
Which is?
That it's only a possibility. Men that are trapped by the chains of maybe can never reach their dreams. That's very true.
No, wait! Don't follow the order!
Hey, Mr. DeMasque.
Yes?
If there's no funny business in your actions as Mask DeMasque, there should be no problem with you telling us your strategy. So let's hear it. Yes, please provide this court with your testimony about your plan to steal the sacred urn.
What's this gonna prove?
I first received the request from Lori Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in a box, and Zvari, it was then sent to the warehouse. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my card 10 days beforehand. I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th.
That's pretty much all stuff we heard before, right? Yeah, but we'll find the truth hidden in the nuggets of new information he gave.
With this, you're sure there are no mistakes this time?
Zvari!
Very well then, Mr. Wright. You may begin your cross-examination.
I first received the request from Lori Taylor about 20 days ago.
You were asked to guard the urn by Miss Adrian Andrews, is that right?
Indeed, it seemed that they have heard of my sparkling reputation.
I see Miss Andrews still attracting the weirdos. You better watch that too, Maya.
The urn was placed in a box, and Zvari, it was then sent to the warehouse.
You mean this box?
Yes, that pathetic box. Lady Andrews was especially taken with that urn, and she wouldn't let anyone enter the storeroom, not even me.
Huh, interesting new tidbit.
Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime.
So you're sure that you had never seen the urn before?
Indeed. You may ask Lady Andrews to confirm it for yourself. My security was focused entirely on the entrance to that warehouse. However, look at me, let no information whatsoever slip through my fingers. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I set my card 10 days beforehand.
You mean this calling card?
That's right! That is, without a doubt, my calling card.
I guess Mr. Delight didn't make this after all. Of course. Because Amy knew about the emblem. Making this card authentic would have been child's play for him.
I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly.
Did no one enter the basement warehouse?
Unfortunately, there were many different treasures being taken there. Thus, for a period of approximately 5 days, people were indeed going in and out of the warehouse. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th.
And this is the photo that proves that, huh?
Indeed, to be honest, even if a photo was taken, I didn't think it would matter terribly much.
Hey Nick, if this photo is a fake, Detective Amy might have stolen the urn whenever this was taken.
That's true.
You know, he's been saying that he never saw the urn until that night. If you can prove that he's lying there, we can wrap this up and put a bow on it. I need to take a good hard look at the call record. Not a lot to go on, is there? That detective's been covering his tracks. There's only one thing we need to prove in this cross-examination. That he took this photo well before the actual night of the crime. Alright then, how do you do that? There's one thing that Amy stated very clearly, that he had never seen the urn before he stole it. We need to prove that he's lying. Huh. Oh! sent before the heist. There's gotta be something important with this. Mr. Atme, if you really are Mask DeMasque, then you also wrote this calling card, correct?
But of course.
Is there a problem with that calling card? Allow me to read a passage from the calling card that Mask DeMasque had written. Take good care of the speckled urn. Now, the speckled here surely refers to this pink pattern on the sacred urn.
Yes, that is true. But so what?
Truth be told, there is no way the Mask DeMasque could have known about this pattern.
What do you mean?
This pink spotted pattern on the urn is actually nothing more than paint stains.
Paint stains?
And these stains did not appear until after the urn had been taken to Lord Taylor. I'm not finding this joke to be very funny, Mr. Trite. The day that the sacred urn was taken to the warehouse, the urn was broken due to human error, or should I say, an error-prone human. And that's when the pink paint got into the urn.
You can't be serious.
And yet this calling card clearly mentions the paint pattern. Which means that Atme had seen the urn before Atme had seen this urn long before the crime ever took place. In fact, he saw it when this fake photo was taken. And because this photo is a fake, your alibi for the night of the murder was your alibi for the night of the murder no longer holds water. Go.
Witness, do you have anything to say for yourself?
Alright, that did it. He's broken. Nick, I think it's still a little early for a victory pose. Huh? Ha! It's so sad. No one has any conviction these days.
Conviction, you say?
Yesterday we all decided unanimously that this man was Mask DeMasque, and now we're calling him a murderer. You don't think we're being a tad fickle?
That's a good point.
No, wait! Don't fall for that too, Your Honor! You say that Look At Me was the one who killed Kane Bullard? Now let me ask you this. Why would he do that?
An excellent point. But motive, Mr. Wright. Motive. Might you, my merry murderous motive manifest?
Nick, he's getting a second wind.
If you prepared an alibi and pit his crime around delight as you say, he must have had a very strong motive for murder.
The only one with any motive we've seen is Ron Delight. Isn't that right, Detective?
Indeed. According to my own research, the boy's motive is clear.
Without a motive, it's nearly impossible to prove guilt in a murder case. Now then, maybe you can enlighten us as to what the defendant's motives were.
I'd be honored to, Sir Old-Timer.
They're doing everything they can to make Ron look suspicious. Despite our lack of hard information, this may be our only chance.